Welcome to the number one Bengals podcast. I'm your host, Adi McDuke. I'm joined as always by Dr. Hoji, the Dr. Gismoji,
Yippee,
John,
yeah.
the brain, Sheeran, Bridget, the HR, Jan Cars, and Matilda, the cat. Yes.
Yeah, that purn is heavy.
Yeah.
Right. And Bridget couldn't be here last week. She was tending to Matilda's needs. Obviously.
Yeah, Matilda has a staph infection.
Poor baby.
Right.
Yeah. It helps when you talk to her like that.
Baby.
Right. Yes. And I've heard that tiger's milk is very effective. Maybe give her a little bit of that. She should be all better, Bridget.
All right, I'll get the tiger I took from Joe Exotic out of the garage. Milk it.
And Bridget, I've heard that you have a new hairdresser. It looks incredible. Looks
Thank
very
you.
good. Yes.
I'm curious what folks think. It's very blonde,
Yes.
and I don't know. I've never
it
been a
works for our
blonde.
target demographic. Yes.
Yeah. Well,
People
I'm not
who like
Bridget,
sort
if
of
it-
blonde people.
We have a fair and balanced sort of program. And so we try to hire people that give off that vibe, the fair and balanced vibe.
Bridget, if it helps, I'm not a natural brunette. I've been dyeing my beard black since it went white in 1985.
What was its original color?
Before white,
I don't think
black.
he remembers.
Yeah.
That's the
No,
dimension.
it was black, then white, and now fake black with the
It's
dye.
fun.
Yeah, just for
Welcome
men.
to the number one Bengals
That's
podcast. We have a lot to cover today. And by that I mean almost nothing, but the draft is coming up, and then that means this is our last chance to talk about things that don't really matter. And
Like
at
Joe
the
Burrow's
forefront of
contract.
those is Joe Burrow's
It might
contract.
matter.
That might matter. I don't know.
It doesn't really
Probably on the scale of things, it matters.
Let's be honest. Joe Burrow's contract was always, we're going to give him whatever it takes to keep him.
Right.
That's in that sense, it doesn't matter because he's going to get whatever it takes.
We
to
should ask some fans because I don't think they fully agree with that. But
Who would
Well,
disagree? No, John. Who would disagree with that and why? Can you explain that to me?
I think Daddy was getting there, but just to kind of preface this, there's this weird thing going on where it's like Joe Burrow should take a team-friendly deal if he knows what's best for him or something like that. It's almost
my
like
gosh.
the fans, at least a subsection of the fans, are not threatening, but they're expecting Joe to do something in terms of taking a deal that like Patrick Mahomes took, or like a deal that basically spreads out these cap hits, these monster cap hits for the next 6-8 years, and essentially give the team a chance to continue building around him, even if he may sacrifice millions of dollars either in total money or in guaranteed money, essentially as further away from Deshaun Watson as possible, which I don't think he's going to get a fully guaranteed deal, but there's like, oh, he better take a team-friendly deal if he knows what's best for him, if he wants to win these championships and everything. And it's like, does it really matter? Does it matter how many millions of dollars that Joe Burrow is going to get from the Bengals? As long as he's here and he's the quarterback for the team, they will always have a chance to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And you can nickel and dime him however you want, but no one should blame him or pressure him into taking a deal that's best for the Bengals when, at the end of the day, Joe Burrow should prioritize Joe Burrow.
Yes, as the great Lars Aldrich
Interesting.
said, and nothing else matters. I mean, let me give you an example, Daddy-O. For example, this Believe hat cost me $40, and I found out that
that's with the company discount.
that's what you charged me, and then I found out that a lot of other Believe podcasters were getting theirs for free.
I
But you
did
know what?
technically. I got that for free.
Well,
I did. Yeah.
But guess what the difference is between mine and theirs? Mine is worth 40, theirs is worth 0. Your quarterback is worth what you pay him. So you pay
That's a great
pay
point.
the man 500 million, he's a 500 million quarterback. You pay him 450, you're going to get 450.
And that's what the Giants' logic was with Daniel Jones, to your point, John. But
No one
I
else
would
though. Burrow's got that Skyline money now. This is
Yeah, I
like
thought
Gold
he
Star
hates
money.
Skyline. I think he said Skyline's
He hates-
disgusting.
He
I thought
did,
he was,
but
he's
it does,
vegan, right? He's vegan. He doesn't like Skyline.
I
He
feel
will
like
eat
he's
as many
not
three
vegan.
ways as possible if it pays him as much money.
Exactly.
How much?
I mean,
Bro
I just
has
say
the
this. I
skyline
just say
money.
I
But he
would
says
say
it was
Joe
disgusting. How
Burrow.
can you promote something you say is disgusting?
He's
That's
Joe
not.
Burrow-
He's not from Cincinnati.
Joe
He's a
Burrow
team,
is a
doesn't matter.
very Joe Burrow is a very savvy man, businessman, and I think he's more thinking about the optics, so he doesn't come out looking like, I'm sorry, excuse me, but the Carson Palmer. We all know Carson
Right.
Palmer.
We can't have
We have
that.
that shot of him
Yeah.
with the hot dog.
Yeah,
Very
that was
offensive.
disgusting. Yeah.
Yes.
So hold on. Can I
So-
just get clarification from Bridget on this one? So it did Joe Burrow say Skyline is disgusting because Gold Star is great, or was it just like
No,
he-
Cincinnati chili as a
He
whole.
just doesn't like
Yeah.
Cincinnati chili.
Yeah.
Okay, and who does?
And to John's point, if you're not from Cincinnati, I mean, I'll just say it. I'll go on the record. When I go to one of the chili places, I only get cheese fries.
Okay,
Not
but
chili cheese fries.
Well-
The chili's not for everybody.
Well, you know, the chili recipe is based on something from Village Island. So, but we still don't. I still don't eat it because it's not vegan.
Okay.
well, you had to
And
use all
that's
of
our
our
chili soliloquy.
Yes, but John, let's go back to your point. And let me ask you something. There is a man. His name is Jalen Hurts. He
Oh,
is
yeah.
very similarly very charismatic. He elevated
Yes.
that franchise, got them to a Super Bowl.
He's
almost
fine as
won that
hell.
Super
I'll say
Bowl.
it.
Wait, are you talking about?
didn't
Are you talking about
ask, but-
sexy? Are you talking about like sexiness?
What do you think?
Yeah,
Yes.
please let John have his moment and let him shoot his shot, if you will. But here's what I'm saying.
Clip it.
John, what I'm saying is he took a deal. I don't know how you would classify it. Obviously, it's more overall money for the contract than Mahomes, but it is a year or two later. But he took a contract that really extends the Super Bowl window for at least 2-3 years, even with his new contract on the books, by making the cap hit like $6 and $13 the first couple of years and like $30. It's incredible. And I don't know, John. And I'm not saying that Joe Burrow should do what fans tell him.
No.
But if we're reading his mind, which we like to do on the show, and maybe he doesn't take as much of an overall hit as a Tom Brady, but maybe he does structure it in a way that gives him some flexibility because we have a very talented roster, and it took us a long time to get here. The Bengals don't. This is the second time in the last 5 years that the Bengals have had a roster even worthy of consideration.
John, let
for-
me take
for the
this one,
Super Bowl.
John. John, I got this one. Daddy-o. Clearance Clearwater Revival. Okay, you can replace all the members of that band, and they have. You can't replace John Fogerty. Joe Burrow is our John Fogerty. The team is going to be fine as long as you have Joe Burrow.
But Joe Burrow doesn't think that way. He wants to keep a T. Higgins. He wants to keep a Jamar Chase, right? He wants to keep those offensive line that they're extending his career.
And he
Yeah,
should.
they already have them. They've already signed those guys.
This for 2 years.
It's also not Joe's responsibility to keep Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. It's his responsibility and his agent's responsibility to get the best offer for him. And ultimately, this comes down to just finding the happy medium between both teams. Now, I think those who say, oh, well, he doesn't need like the next biggest contract. Well, he's going to get it. Like, that's just a moot point at this point. Like, $51 million is the new benchmark per year for starting NFL quarterbacks, or at least start NFL quarterbacks. That's the benchmark that Jalen Hurts just set. Jalen Hurts essentially signed an updated version of what Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray got last year. Like, Murray was like at $46.5 million a year, and Russell Wilson was at $49 million a year. So Hurts' average annual value topped what Aaron Rodgers had at like $50.5. But in terms of total guarantees, it's more in line to what Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray received. And that is again another benchmark that Burrow is probably looking to eclipse. If he gets over $200 million, it's not going to be the most shocking thing in the world. But at least at that point, it's not a fully guaranteed deal like Deshaun Watson. That, I think, was the fear for a lot of people, that was going to be the new standard. And clearly, if Jalen Hurts is not taking it because, in his words, like, money is cool, championships are better, like, that's his mindset, and I'm sure Joe Burrow probably thinks the same way. But again, like, it's about, like, Burrow doesn't have to sacrifice a certain number of millions per year.
He doesn't.
In order
But
to
John,
still,
he's
have a
carrying
competitive team.
he's carrying the whole city of Cincinnati on his shoulders. Like that's what this
Precisely.
That's what this is about. Like, this has gone beyond football, beyond a very talented player. This city has hung its hat, and we've
Yes.
pitched our star.
He is our
onto
savior.
He is. I call him the patron saint of Cincinnati.
Yeah.
This man is carrying the weight of the Queen City on his shoulder.
Yeah.
And I think it's funny because as you talked about this, Daddy, like in some ways I'm like, I feel the same. Like, come on, man, take a few less million a
No,
year.
it's the
and like,
opposite.
I know, but like we think, and I think this is amazing about Joe Burrow's mystique, right? I love
Yes.
whoever does his PR because we have exalted him to this incredible do no wrong
praise thee.
being, and
Yeah.
it's really fascinating.
It's
but
powerful,
as,
isn't it? Yeah.
It-
If
I mean,
I
it's
may,
so
liberating.
if I may, Daddy,
It's
if I may,
liberating.
Bridget, if I may
Yeah.
interject here. So
Bridget
if
was on the
I-
road, but okay.
No,
if I may
told you
roll
this.
into Bridget's role. So, for those of you fans out there, fans of the show, fans of Joe Burrow, fans of the Bengals, who have let
There's
the
four of
spirit-
them right
the-
now. Four.
yeah, the frugal spirit of Daddy McDuke enter into your consciousness and corrupt you. And you're thinking in these terms. Let me give you the classic old fable of Aaron Rodgers. Okay, now Aaron Rodgers was paid fine, but he feels like he wasn't treated well, and he felt that way for a long time with the Green Bay Packers. And he underperformed. And we were talking before the show that probably as a man who's motivated by emotions and generally, his emotional well-being, Aaron Rodgers might have underperformed, frankly, because he felt snubbed. We know that the Love signing Jordan Love made him feel snubbed. And when a quarterback plays snubbed, it's like when a horse isn't combed. It's like when a cat isn't petted.
Petted, yeah.
What happens? It starts to bite. It starts to act out. And everybody told Joe Burrow, don't go to the Bengals. They ain't gonna treat you right. They don't deserve a number one. So you want to prove that they don't deserve a number one?
No,
by
no.
not
Let
paying
me
them like a number one? What are you
clarify.
talking about?
No, pay him. Give him the largest contract over. I'm saying, John, there are ways to structure the deal so that you have the option of restructuring down the road.
No.
Not for
they
the
don't
Bengals,
do
'cause
that.
they don't have
they
the
don't
cash.
do that.
Yeah.
No,
They don't have the
exactly.
cash. Yeah.
They don't have the cats.
So why don't
but
you
it's also
Yeah.
Joe Burrow is saying that his window is his entire career, right?
Yeah.
And if
as
if
is
he,
the
si-
choice. It is
if he
his-
signs a deal that's essentially the same as Jalen Hurts, where the cap hits are like 80 and 90 million 5 or 6 years,
Yeah.
that doesn't those years are just wasted because basically a third of the entire salary cap is going to one player. But of course, the Eagles are going to restructure. They're just going to kick the can down the road. The Bengals aren't going to
Yeah.
do that. They're
But
going to front
4
load
years down the
Burrow's
road,
deal a little bit more.
The cap is probably going to be another 100 million.
Of course
more
it
per
is,
year.
but it's still not. It's all relative, right? Then
Yeah.
those cap hits would be like 120 million. Or
And let me just say
130 million.
something, John. Let me just say something. People talk about how the Bengals should trade T. Higgins, and you know what? If we
What?
didn't have Joe Burrow,
Who's saying that?
no, hold on.
Who
No,
has-
outside. No, I'm saying people outside the Bengals fan base and the Bengals. What I'm saying, John, is if we had Andy Dalton, and we had Jamar Chase, I don't poor Andy Dalton. I don't want to. If we had a Carson Palmer, and we had Jamar Chase, and we had T. Higgins, and we had all these guys, of course they wouldn't be signing both those guys. It's the fact that we have Joe Burrow that he's made the franchise so much more money, and they know he's gonna make them a lot more
Yes.
money, and they know we're gonna win the Super Bowl. That they're like, you know what? Let's pay everybody. So what I'm saying, John, what I'm saying is the cash flow for the team is changing. It is changing. This deal with the skyline.
I saw.
That-
I-
Then
I saw
pay him
some-
whatever he wants. Like if
There
Joe
you go.
Burrow
No, I'm just- I
doesn't
think
get that
pay him
every
whatever he
day,
wants.
then
Man
no
with-
one
John,
in Cincinnati history it was
John,
always will
John,
be about the
we-
team.
we-
You'll
we're
never be
going back
about
and
the
forth.
players and people.
No, John. I'm saying pay him what he
Yes.
wants, but I'm saying do those 80, 90 million cap hits down the road and figure it out then. They should always be pushing to have the best roster they can. And
the other day-
you want
the other
that
day-
too, John.
The other day I saw a tweet, and I don't remember whose it was, but it was someone who was traveling, and they were wearing Bengals memorabilia, Bengals thing, and someone said to them, "So were you always a Bengals fan, or are you just riding the train?" You see, so we never had that problem before, Joe Burrow. So we are a team where people are buying Bengals clothing that don't even live in Cincinnati. That's
Right.
amazing. That is amazing.
On purpose, yeah.
On purpose, the way I
And-
bought that hat.
Yeah. But, okay, let us move on.
Let's move on.
Let us move on. And I want to talk about another Bengals player who also is creating money issues for the team. A lot of things they have to consider. It's Joe Mixon. and Brian
Got him.
Callahan, he went on, I believe it's the number 2 or number 3 podcast about the Cincinnati Bengals. He went on their show, and he talked about what, John? He talked about what is the running back who won the draft? He said it's a running back that complements Joe Mixon, something like that. Am I right?
I mean, those are words that he said, but
you
how
don't
much
believe
is
him.
it believable? No, because here's why. Joe Mixon's on the team right now. That's
Right.
just what it is. Is he going to be on the team a week now? Nobody knows, because the draft is ultimately going to decide how this running back group looks going forward. I think they will draft a running back relatively high, and I think drafting that running back high gives the Bengals leverage to say, hey, Joe, like, we like you, we would like to keep you around, but we probably don't want to do so at your current cap hit. We have a lot of money to be paid to Joe Burrow and T. Higgins if we want to get these deals done. And then we'll offer Joe Mixon that pay cut if they haven't already. Joe Mixon will either accept it, he'll be on the team along with this new running back, or he'll decline. The Bengals have leverage now with at least one rookie, and they can go out and get like an Ezekiel Elliott for significantly less than what Joe Mixon's paying. So right now, I think in their minds, they feel confident about Mixon staying on for like a lesser cap hit, because again, it just seems like a non-starter paying him that much money when you have plans to pay T. Higgins and Joe Burrow increased salaries because of those extensions. So yeah, it makes sense why they would want to pair Joe Mixon with a certain running back or a certain style of running back. But if is that actually going to be the plan, we have to wait and see.
Yeah, but I mean, the point is this: as an offensive mind, he is okay with the idea of Mixon kind of being the first and second down back. I mean, and that's fair, because Mixon is pretty good at carrying the ball when the offensive line does its job, and like they did late in the season. Yeah,
If I may speak as a Joe Mixon fan, I love what he did to us last year.
Love it.
For us. And I want to tell a little quick story about what I think we ought to do with Joe Mixon. It comes from a practice that we did in South Village Island, where we were very poor. When we would run out of resources, the oldest person in our family, when they would fall asleep, we would move. And the reason we would do that, we didn't have enough food to feed that person. So they would wake up and we'd be gone, and good luck. And I love Joe Mixon, huge fan, but I think it's time that we moved on. And maybe while he's asleep, we just disappear.
okay. And you are a huge fan, you're saying?
Huge.
Yeah.
There's also
I mean,
other things that Mixon's dealing with right now that the team can't really comment on until they get clarity on it. So it's also just kind of the same thing. It's like, yeah, the status quo is what it is, but
Time to move on.
may not be
Yeah.
going forward.
We need some fresh legs. Sorry, Joe. Huge fan.
Yeah. Well, that's fair.
I have a Mixon
That's
jersey
his-
somewhere. I mean, I'll wear that. Yeah, I will. But that's about as far as I'll go in supporting Joe Mixon.
Well, the draft is coming up. Bridget, will you be representing the show at the draft again?
I will
Did-
not be.
Bridget, you failed to mention the show last time you were on the stage of
Right.
a national TV.
No, I know it must have slipped my mind.
Yeah, I want to thank all the guys who got me here, Daddy, Hoji, John. That would have been nice.
No,
wouldn't
I messed up. I will not be in Kansas City, and I'm not mad about that because I don't need to go to Kansas City more than one time in a calendar year. Like, that's enough Kansas City for me. But I will be at Paycor on Thursday night, hanging out with some fans, and that should be fun.
it? Yeah.
Little draft party action.
Little draft party.
Yeah.
Kansas City's just
John,
not my
what
favorite
are
place. This isn't a draft we
I love
need to
how
be at.
I love how little we care about the draft at this point. That's how great teams are. It's such a
Yeah.
small thing, a trifle. Maybe we'll get this guy, maybe we'll get who really cares? We're awesome. I love that.
Here's what I've discovered about that, because I've been following the draft for 10 years now, and a lot of the conversations end up being the same. You go back and forth about certain players. Sometimes your stances change, but people have sides and agendas that they want to push about players. And then as soon as the team makes the pick, then your whole perspective changes, whether or not you love the player or you didn't like the player going forward. You then see a new perspective of now the player is officially on the team, and you start to think, okay, how does he actually fit and everything, and everything before that is basically moot. So the draft is just such a waste of time. Sort of like there's 2 months or 2-3 months between the games being played and then the draft. If it all just happened in about a week, this whole process would go a lot smoother.
Well, that would put you out of business, John. But I mean, I would say I think
kudos
Hoji can.
Go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
think Hoji can definitely identify with this. What John just described is like having a child, right? Before the child is born, you're like, it's going to be beautiful, it's going to be smart. And then you're born, and it's born, and you have this little, goblin sometimes.
Yeah.
And you have to justify this. Say, no, actually, I always wanted a goblin. That's what John is saying.
Did your parents say that was about Hoji, not you?
We're not, this is very interesting. John does not know that we are not related. He thinks that is a little bit,
That was a
just because-
microaggression, John.
yeah.
We don't all come from the same
think-
mom and dad.
I think we all thought you were related.
Yeah, that's
Oh
You're
my
on
gosh.
record at
yes.
least 20 times of saying that you're brothers, but whatever.
from the same village. See, John, that is,
With-
he thinks we are inbred.
Well, I mean-
John, that is not,
No
That's
one
kinda-
said that. No one said that.
Well,
So marrying cousins on Village Island does not count as inbreeding. So
No.
we are not.
because
Even
that
though our
is,
parents were cousins, but we are
Right.
not related.
all right. Well, let me just say that if you want more great insights from John Sheeran, you can go to
A2Z Sports
a2z.com/Cincinnati.
forward splash.
it's a beautiful link. It makes me want to click it.
Click it.
Yes,
You know you
but
want
can.
that.
You can only click. Yeah, it's interesting. The only thing you can
And
click
follow
on
us
videos
on
is the
Twitter.
Patreon.
Yeah,
Only the Patreon
Patrons.
link works. And speaking of Patreon, we had two new patrons
You go,
that we
patrons.
didn't tell Bridget. Well, no, it was like 2 months ago. But just to catch
Oh.
Bridget up, Bandana and Niloy and Ricky Sturworth. Yes,
Thank
we love
you.
them.
Speedman, WCC, Jocelyn.
sorry.
All
This-
Beautiful
This
people.
is what you
Lorenzo
get.
Sorise, Nathan
Yeah.
Sturworth, Rick S. Rick S has been around for a while. Alice
Long
Spence,
time. Yeah.
Nick Marks. I remember
Nick
you, Nick
Marks.
Marks.
Loved it.
Bengals captain, the old captain. Captain.
Nick
of the
Marks, by the way,
Derek
capitalist.
Davis.
Just to be clear, he's a capitalist. Yes, all of these great people. And John, any final thoughts before the draft?
I don't know who the Bengals pick, but he'll be good. Even if he's
Yeah.
bad, he'll be good.
He'll be a handsome goblin. I would say this.
I like Michael Meyer. I saw
I-
in the
and- yeah.
comments. I like Michael Meyer at 28.
Yeah,
I don't think
I'm
he's gonna
going
make it,
to
but
say
that'd be
this.
nice.
yeah. I don't really care.
You know,
Any
you
tight
know,
end is going to have the same results playing with Joe Burrow. Yeah.
my
They're all the
my
same.
approach. Yeah, my approach to the draft is Mr. Draftman. Who's the guy who's in charge of that? It's Toby something. But what's the guy we have that does all this great drafting
Yeah,
in the
Toby,
Bengals?
Toby Duke. Toby
I
the
mean-
Duke.
I mean, honestly, he's so great. We have always been so
Yes.
great at drafting. So I say,
Not
Mr.
always.
Toby Duke,
We had a bad
Make-
5 or 6 years.
yeah,
With
make me a
Cedric
dream.
Ogbuehi and- yeah.
Make him the most talented that we've ever seen. Give him two hands that are actually sizable and not small.
Yeah.
Mr.
Hopefully not
Mr.
webbed feet, that we have to justify.
Mr. Toby
that kind of
makes
stuff.
me a dream. Yeah.
Let me
That's all.
just say this. Yeah, I'll just say
Yeah,
me and
well-
John. Yeah, go ahead.
No, say your piece.
Well,
But
I'm gonna say
have
me and
something
John are
before
going
we-
to definitely try to cover every day of the draft, John. We're gonna do our
There you
best
go.
to do
There
quick
you go.
shows right after the draft.
Yeah.
I'll give you my analysis. John will give you his hot takes. Yeah, go ahead, Bridget.
Bridget.
No, I'm just wondering. Now that there's a new quarterback in the AFC in Aaron Rodgers, does that change anything for anyone? John, is that
Yes.
even a threat at all?
Yes. Yes, it is. Because we were never really great against the Jets.
Yeah, when they had a backup starting.
No. Well, they beat us with Mike White. All right.
I mean, they've something about the Jets and the Browns. I don't get
I,
why.
I don't trust
Not
Aaron
worried about
Rodgers
them.
until I see it again. Like
Aaron
I
Rodgers
think
is one of
he's
the
just
best who's
kinda-
ever played.
let's be
He's
clear.
mailing it in, which is fine.
To
for
beat the
him, but-
Bengals, let's be clear. To beat the Bengals, you need to have
He's
an
determined.
interior. You need to have an interior defensive lineman that can wreak havoc on the offensive line with the pass rush.
Wait.
And then,
Okay.
you need to have an offense that can do just enough.
Stop. Have you guys ever been to Green Bay? Have you?
Never
No.
want to.
Okay.
Never will.
Okay. Stop right there. None of us
Miserable.
have. Okay. Have you ever been to New York?
Yes.
Eh.
Okay. Where would you guess your energy levels are going to be higher? No offense to people from Wisconsin.
Green Bay, I'm going to be drunk all the time.
And then also,
And eating so much good cheese.
yes, my energy, I'm very,
Everything.
how do I say that? I have a lot of burst when I go to Green Bay, a lot of burst.
No, that cheese slows
Little
down your system.
clouds,
I tell
midsection
you,
clouds.
I tell you, everything is better in you. Even a quarterback, as no offense, I love you, Eli Manning, as talentless as Eli Manning could do well in New York. Trust me. The Aaron Rodgers that we used to see is the Aaron Rodgers you're gonna see. He's gonna practice
Brett
hard.
Favre.
He's gonna
Brett
be
Favre went to the
surrounded by
Jets.
people who love him.
Brett Favre went to the Jets and had his only bad year, I would say, really bad year in the Jets. So
Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, as much as I'm a Brett Favre fan, are very different quarterbacks. Because Aaron Rodgers is not really hitting his full potential. Brett Favre always surpassed his potential. He was what you call a gunslinger who got really lucky and did some crazy stuff. But Aaron Rodgers is really one of the best who's ever played this game. And I say that as a QB coach. The man is impeccable. He's everything that people say other great quarterbacks are, except he's emotional, he's lazy, and he hates Green Bay, and let's be honest.
And he gets
that's what I keep
real
telling
bad
him.
haircuts.
And really bad haircuts, and he's got weird views on vaccines. No offense, Dadio.
none taken. And with that, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. Follow John on a2zsports.com/Cincinnati. And check us out on wherever you find your podcasts. And follow Bridget on Twitter again, just from a distance.
What do I do?
Keep your distance.
Me.
Follow me.
Follow me.
Follow Hoji.
Follow me.
Yep.
Well, you should
We'll
have
see you next
recorded
time.
that. That could have been my one intro video.
Exactly. We'll see you next time. So long. Sweet tea pies.
Yeah. Yeah.